Hi, welcome back. This is Module 7. For some of you who don't know the story that I've had over 200 hours of Orton Gillingham practicum hours, I've realized, all the Orton Gillingham teachers are following a model, but everybody's still doing things a little bit differently. And there's so much to cover. You always wonder, am I doing enough? Where do I go for my next lesson? And it's a very rigorous model. And I love my step-by-step reading program. And I thought it was time to come out and let people see what I have created for step-by-step reading. And it's easy to follow. It incorporates so many of the Orton Gillingham methods. And I just love it because kids are learning. They're making 1 to 3 year gains in reading vocabulary, comprehension, and or vocabulary. And the cool thing is we can use music with my reading program. We can't use music with other reading programs because they collect data for their reading program, and adding music would mess up the data. So are we about the data or are we about helping the kids? I say both, but let's help the kids, okay? That's why I want you to see my reading program. See if you want to add it to your toolbox. So today, I'm going to share with you how I introduce grammar tricks. So when I was teaching grammar tricks in a middle school, one of my instructional aides had a son who was dyslexic, and she never learned those grammar tricks. And she thought it was amazing to learn them. And when I would teach students from other countries, I did a summer ESL, kids from Germany, from France, from Italy, and they loved learning the grammar tricks. So that's real important. And grammar tricks have to be learned explicitly. So grammar, what does that mean? Let me show you some of my books. But first, I'm going to show my screen. And again, I use this nice document camera that I just got from Amazon. So we've already done phonogram cards. We've used sound circles. I used to use squares. I haven't updated that. Plastic letters. We worked in the phonics reading. You see where I put here, or mini lesson? This is where the grammar tricks can be done. We have the whiteboard, then we have workbook again, or we could have the mini lessons. And then we have beginning, middle, ending, which we just did in the last module without the whiteboard. And here, we also did this in the last module. Go back to the junior workbook or workbook 2 if you have older students, or workbook 2 if you have bright younger students, and you all know who those students are. Sometimes I've had students over 120 hours. I'm going to bring in workbook 2. There's a lot of different things in workbook 2 they can work on. So these mini lessons are what I'm calling grammar tricks. So I used to have them in one big book, but what I found I really preferred was having them separate in case there was something you wanted to focus on. And then this could become a consumable, or you can mark it up for every student. You can buy a few of them and mark each one up for each student. What I really liked is in my grammar set number 3, look what I teach, syllable types, okay? So we talk about 6 syllable types. I talk about the 26 letters, 44 phonemes, 250 graphemes. That's how we write. My app used to be called Dunking Dyslexia. Now it's CDSM. I'm going to change that right here. CDSM, Cintron Dyslexia Solutions with Music. So I go through the syllable types, and then, so let me just do that now. We have our closed syllables. We have the vowel in the middle. We have open syllables right here. So he, fly, cry, open syllables, and in a vowel. And you'll recognize from the phonogram cards, I have a so, he, fly card. We have our vowel team syllable. AI says A. These are the words. So when I'm teaching a concept in the regular phonics, I can also bring this book out for extra support. Double E says E. Another syllable type is the vowel consonant E. And when we have R controlled, it's a little bit different. But when we have vowel consonant E, the E at the end of the word makes a long vowel. We have bossy R's, or the R controlled vowels. I think it's cool to see that ER can be a part of a word. Carpenter, it could be in the middle. It could be in the middle of a word here. And ER could either be also be like her, and it could be faster, smarter. We use ER several ways. This is just a way to bring out R controlled. Then we have, we talk about morphology, how we want to get to the root of words. When you teach a child the root word, you can add suffixes, you can add prefixes, and you just multiply the vocabulary. So refer, we can build to say referred, referring, referral, reference. And I can take a moment with this, teach about, review about doubling that last consonant to protect the short vowel. And we've talked this already. Then we have our vowel consonant E. Consonant LE, which would be, and you may recall seeing some of my phonogram cards that had the DLE, BLE, PLE. Okay. I always liked angle and angel. Dyslexic kids are always putting the letters out of place. So GLE is going to have a G sound. And they've already learned that GE says J. So they're going to remember GEL for angel. I had so much trouble in that when I was in elementary school. And here I even drew a cute little angel to help them remember. We have some words, consonant LE. So this is just a fun book. This is my grammar set number 3. And I'm, let me see. Makes sense, a little bit more sense of the soft and the hard G. And then, it's really funny. If you look at Google versus goggle, I'm going to start at the front here. Idle, middle, maple, apple. What we're doing is teaching them how we double the consonant after the first syllable if it's a short vowel, because otherwise it's going to lose the short vowel sound. If you don't double it, you're going to spell midle, which rhymes with idle, right? And if you don't double the P, you're going to say apple, which is what we have in maple. If you don't double the G for Google, for goggle, so we double it for ah. If you don't double it, you're going to be saying Google, but that's here, G-O-O-G-L-E. So I just love that. And then I like to teach some consonants are always in the front. Some letters are in the back. We never have patterns of, I don't know if you ever thought of this, H-L-E, M-L-E, N-L-E, R-L-E. We never have those spellings. So students are going to learn explicitly. I like this grammar book also because I talk about suffixes that end with a vowel. That start with vowel, and then other suffixes that start with consonants. So now that I've finished the syllable types, I do call these other ones activities as well. So my syllable types are activities. This is suffixes. And I also talk in this book about changing the Y to I before we add a suffix. Family can become familiar. Puppy can become puppies. So we talk about morphology. We talk about the root words. Speaking of family, I have a new grandbaby. Excited about that. So here we have more activity 8, changing the Y to I. What about the word many into manifold? Happy into happiest. Very into various. Plenty into plentiful. So it's interesting when the students are seeing the words presented in multiple ways, they'd love it. It's firing those synapses, right? So we want to make those neuron connections, neural pathways are developing. And then I like to talk about some welded sounds. So this is interesting. When you teach ik, ak, ok, we don't have ek, which is very interesting. We don't have ek. Are you always editing your work? I certainly am. Sometimes we are just studying so much that we don't catch everything, and that's okay. We don't have ek because we have ik, ok, uk, and ak. When you tap out your syllables, what the Orton Gillingham taught me was one finger for one sound. So ik, ak, ak, or k. So one finger for one sound. I have other programs that would say, if it's 2 letters, put 2 fingers up for that one sound. But the problem with, you could do that in the beginning, but the problem is when your words get longer, you're going to run out of fingers. So you can't be putting 2 fingers up for, and a lot of the students just prefer one sound, one finger. So I like to show you that. And then I also talk about how you mark the words. We put a smiley face under welded sounds when we code the words. You can pick out what you want to teach your student to fill in those 10 minutes. And this is another time where they're listening to music. I showed you Grammar Tricks 1, I believe already. What I like about Grammar Tricks 1 is it talks about the soft and hard sounds of the letter C with the E, I, and Y. I actually have a slingshot that I got from a place called Riley's Farm here in California. They'll mail you one, but it's a cool slingshot. And I show them that the E, I, and the Y are like stones being shot at the C to make it soft. And the E, I, and Y are the soft, are the stones that make the hard G sound like a J. And what's very interesting to me is that K also uses E, I, and Y to say its name. So imagine showing your child this. Things are going to start making sense. So we have a card, K-E, K-I, K-Y. Those are the only times we're going to have a K for the K sound. Now, sure enough, there's going to be an exception to the rule, and other cultures will bring in some of their words and our kids will get confused. But typically, look at how the K-E, K-I, K-Y work. At the beginning of a word, at the end of a word. So you recognize this is also a vowel consonant E. That's your sneaky E, has another job here, but it's the K-E rule, okay? And then we have K-E, we have keep, skill, kind, liking. So here, ing follows the K. So in the workbooks that I have, we have these drills that coincide with what you're teaching, where you take your marker out, you highlight the lines. Like if you're going to see an I, you have a line with an I after it, and you're thinking of what letter to put on that line, and your choices are C, CK, or K. You're going to put a K on any line that's followed with a vowel E, I, or Y, if it sounds like K. So that's what I like about that. And then also I teach, I make sense of J with DGE. I like to teach these together because students want to know, why is there a D sticking in that word when I'm just saying the j sound? So I'll show some of the easy words that they'll know: jog, just, jar, jury. And then I'll have them find the J, what syllable is it in? Ask them questions. How would they pronounce it? And then help them with the whole word. Jaguar. Older kids are going to love having bigger words. Jungle, major, Benjamin. So remember, when we're teaching our students, we're also talking to them and clarifying questions and asking them questions. You could even ask here, out of all these words, which one is a name? How do you know it's a name? A lot of kids will say Benjamin, and they'll know it's because it's capitalized, but they won't know how to say it. So just help them say it. We capitalize names because they're called proper nouns. So one of the things I've always used with my reading program is talking to the student, building vocabulary. Look at how fun this is. Dog becomes dodge. Rig becomes ridge. Log becomes lodge. Bag becomes badge. Why is G suddenly a J? Because it's followed by an E. And that's the G-E-G-I-G-Y rule, right? But also the D is there to protect the short vowel. Because if you didn't have a D, you would have a vowel consonant E word, which would make the vowel long, and it would be bag. So you have bag, you would have bag. We don't want bag, we want badge. So we have that D is there to protect the short vowel sound. Kids love this. I want to say, think of that. Look at this one. Leg, ledge. So this is also a good time to take out the whiteboard. Ask your student to write ledge. Okay, so write it again without the D. And what do you have? And your student's going to write L-E-G-E. Well, that's a vowel consonant E word. What happens when you have an E at the end of a word? It makes that vowel long. So it's going to be liege. Is that the word we want? No, we want ledge. So that's why we need the D to protect the short vowel sign. Let's go to judge, or the short vowel sound. Jug, judge. If you take the D out, you have juge. So jug becomes juge with an E after it, but with a D, it's judge, and that's what we want. And take out the key concept picture. That is a picture. I've got a picture of fudge, and I have a picture of judge. So you're making the connections in the child's brain with a picture, with writing on the whiteboard, with talking to you. They see colors, okay? So I've got grammar sets. Look at this one, it's so fun. This is in my grammar tricks, number 2. I teach the words for ED. Now we teach that ED is past tense, right? But ED can sound like ed, d, and t. I had someone, anyway, sanded, lasted, hinted. Have your student read these words: thrilled, licked. And when I teach this concept, I'll also I have 2 circles that I print out. You can print them out on a PowerPoint page and just make 2 circles and then divide it up and read the word, and you put ED in one of the, divide it into 3 parts. You have ED, d, and t. And you read the words to the student and have your child write what area the word goes in. What does it sound like? So fun, interactive games. And then my grammar set 4 talks about, this is something that was in the workbook too, but our versus our. You can go in a little bit more in depth. I talk about less, ness, cess, and tress, always end in double S. Then I talk about punctuation marks. We talk about how they go after what's being said. Let me show you what that looks like. I have this in here. So we talk about exclamation points, periods, question marks, and commas. I don't think so, says Judy. So we talk about this. But if you get familiar with this on your own, you're going to mark it and bring it out for the student when you're ready to teach it. And I have number 5. Now, they're very thin because you can use them as consumables. I've had students use white, highlighters with them, but so this is number 5 because I do even talk about voiced and unvoiced words. And we talk about when you put your hand on your throat, do you hear a small vibration or not? When you hear a vibration in a sound, it's a voiced sound. If you don't hear the vibration, it's not voiced. So for example, if I were to say Bam and Pam and you didn't hear the sound, you wouldn't know which one I was saying. But if I put my hand if you put your hand under your throat and you say Bam and Pam, you're going to hear feel the vibration with Bam, not with Pam. And the same with, you could put your hand in front, Bam, Pam. I like it with the throat. So not too many people, maybe speech pathologists, really get into the voiced and unvoiced, other ed therapists, but this is there. And then I have more activities where we talk about the digraph, TH and CH and sh. These are some of the first digraphs students are learning. And then they need to know TH can go in the front of a word and at the back of a word. Look at this. So it gives them another visual of how to see that. And it's just fun. So when would you use mini lessons? They were called mini lessons. Now they're my grammar tricks. Let me stop my share. You're going to use the grammar tricks, familiarize yourself with them. But when you're, if your junior student doesn't have a second workbook, you can bring this out and start with grammar trick 1 and just go through it. Then go to grammar trick 2. When you have a little lapse of time, so sometimes you're reviewing something and the student goes fast. Sometimes your student has to leave early and you can't do a full lesson the way you're used to doing a full lesson. This is a great time. Make it a learning opportunity and take out your grammar tricks and teach them something. Get your whiteboard out, get your highlighters, get your what do we call them? Expos, different color expos, and have fun teaching the grammar tricks. So now the modules aren't like one was step 1, 2 was step 2, 3 was step 3, module 4 was step 4, module 5, I combined 2 steps, 5 and 6, module 6, I combined 7 and 8 steps. So I made module 7 is the grammar tricks. Module 8, I'm going to talk about how we give the spelling tests and how we use my app. So thanks for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you again in module 8. Bye. And again, I'm Dr. Marianne Cintron.